All right, so guys, we're going to dig into how we can help leverage joint ventures or business referrals to grow our businesses more and get an increasing higher percentage of revenue from our business and our networks. Because we just find that there's a couple of things that we find that can lead to either them being stagnant or at least not growing at the rate that they could or should. So just for a moment, I think we're pretty clear as to the general idea of how we define them. And for our purposes of our discussion, we want to think critically about the partnerships where we know that they're serving the exact same customer, just in a different way. That's probably the shortest way I can think of defining it, is thinking who else is working, is my customer, my ideal customer, hiring just for something different than what I do for some other purpose. And one of the easiest frames I found to help come up with a really good specific list, because again, I think it's something that maybe we kind of get intuitively, but if we get real specific with it, that's where a lot of the unlock happens. Okay. Is maybe we think of an event chain. And so think about the sequence or maybe chronological steps that a customer, our ideal homeowners, might go through before they hire us. And so to use a little bit of outside the box thinking, let's think about maybe a different industry as an example. If I'm a florist, okay, and an event chain would likely be a wedding. Okay. So each one of these kind of sequences that would lead someone to me eventually, or life events or things that would be happening, could lead someone to me along this event chain. And so usually the first step that needs to happen in a wedding style event chain would be the engagement ring, which has to be purchased and then hopefully accepted before. If that doesn't happen, then none of this other stuff is in play, right? So once that happens, then the rest of these really start to come into play. So they will go to the wedding planner, church, chapel, and so on and so forth. At some point, they'll come to me as the florist. And then after getting the flowers from me, they're probably going to go do some other things. There's other things that likely are further down the list in terms of things that need to happen in connection with this typical event chain. So as you think about that as a frame, I mean, what would be an example, maybe an event chain that you think would apply in your case? And that's as a way to help identify some of these key partners or potential partners we'd want to reach out to.
I've got flood or fire.
Okay.
Another one would be change of life or circumstance.
Okay.
Another one would be buying a new home or moving.
Love that. No, that's excellent. Because as you say those, I mean, can everybody kind of see what, as Don brings those up, you can think about what probably happens before and after someone's going to hire Don as a GC, right? That would kind of lead to that. And there's definitely some specific industries or businesses that are involved that are totally unreal. I love that. Great examples. How about anybody else, Eric or Dear, any others that, or Bryce, any other events that come to mind?
Just new construction, home,
Okay.
home builds.
Okay.
We're all going to fall into
Yeah.
one of those phases.
Sure. Yeah. Love that. Okay. What do you think? What about you? Do you have any other event chains that come to mind for you?
I was thinking more of on the lines of buying a home.
Yeah.
Just all the steps that go into that. The chain of events before and after. That.
Yeah. Also fantastic. So buying a home, new construction, flood, fire, I think, and then what was Don? So some of the other ones here.
Change
life
of
events.
Life or circumstance. So say a kid
right.
moves out, or you're going to get grandkids that move in.
Yeah, right.
Or you're having a kid.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Love that. Okay. How about you, Bryce? Any other event chains or, again, things that kind of come in a sequence that come to mind for you that would help us map out some people for you to talk to?
With remodeling in mind, certain designers. So I've reached out to like several designers in our area just to try to be the GC that they come to. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So no, I like where you, and that's a great segue for where we want to go next, Bryce, is we think about here's the different sequences that, and the reason we go through that frame is to then come up with, okay, who are the people that are involved? I need to have a designer I've got a good relationship with. Realtor would be another one, right? So who are the others, the insurance people? And when I've heard about some of the other event chains we've talked about, right? So who are those specifics and where do they fit in that process? So that's exactly where we're headed. The thing is if we get a good list, and I guess that's what I want to invite you to just for a second. If we put maybe, let's put 2 minutes on the clock. I'm gonna grab my handy dandy timer right here. All right. I'm gonna get 2 minutes. and just let it flow for 2 minutes on just all the different industries that are related to the event chains we're talking about. And for now, it's just anybody who might be somewhat related to those event chains, just get the professions down. Let's get that going for 2 minutes. Start right now. Go for it.
Would you just blurt it out or write it down?
Write it down. Yeah,
Oh.
write them down. Have them written down. There's a reason why. We'll get to that in just a second. Yeah, give for 2 minutes. Just brainstorm them, get them all so they're real on paper somewhere. Before I get back. That's right. You got it. This is a sing along. Yeah. Well, all right, I got about 60 seconds. Just free flow it. Think about anybody who is either obviously immediately or even a little bit related professions to what you're doing. Who else are the ideal customers we want to work with? Who else are they talking to before they hire us or after? All right, we're at the 2 minute mark. Anybody need some more time? We're feeling good? We got a good list? All right. Cool. Let's hear out some of the ones that going through this that you wrote down that maybe you didn't think of before you got here today. Or anybody come up with some that as you got a little bit deeper for just a couple minutes that came up on your list that surprised you? Where'd you lead?
Landlords, cities.
Oh, okay.
Other specialty contractors. For example, one of the guys that's given me some business, sent me a lot of business last year actually, is a window guy. Oh. So he'll do bathrooms here and there, like doors and bathrooms for showers and tubs.
Yeah.
But most of what he does has to do with glass. Okay. So windows, bathroom doors, that kind of stuff. He sent a lot of business our way last year.
Okay.
Hardware stores. Make friends with the hardware store guys.
There you go.
In fact, I've actually been to several of the hardware store guys' homes to do repairs, and I get referrals off of them all the time. And then, like we just said before, designers, realtors, insurance.
Yeah. Okay. I like that some of those are a little outside of the box, Don. I appreciate that, man, because I think that's something that to me, I don't know if you guys, anybody have some of those on their list already, or anybody else have something different that Don didn't mention that we could use as a way to help expand our thinking a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I got property managers. It's funny is I got a referral just came in. Just got to follow up on.
Yeah, very good.
You know, property managers, home warranty companies, and strip mall owners. Which a strip mall owner could be someone who owns a strip mall could be life changing or one of your biggest tire kickers. It can go either way. It can go either way because they have it's volume work, and it's definitely busy work, and it can definitely move the needle.
Sure. No, and if you get some of those works just consistent, like you're saying, volume, it keeps the crews busy when you have some of those other ebbs and flows. So that's good. I like that. Anybody else got something that we haven't heard yet? Okay. Feel like you got a good list. So next, Eric, we're gonna say
manufacturers.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard that yet. Tell me a little bit more.
Oh, like the roofing, it's the roofing manufacturers. A lot of times you can you have a rep that you work with, and
Mm-hmm.
they can get you lined out on projects.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, just taking a look at those relationships. Good. Now, guys, I think it's awesome. I mean, we've got a good spread. It sounds like, from some things that maybe we hadn't maybe conventionally thought. Okay. So fantastic. So the next idea, and again, what I think a lot of these, and as we should, our mind tends to go towards who are the ones that can send us, or who are the people, again, we talk about above us in the chain. Did anybody come up with someone that was below or downstream? So meaning people that after they hire us, they then do something else that we could then send business to. We generally think about who comes first, and as we should, because that's bigger, better money. But are there some that we have on our list that typically homeowners will go to after us that it'd be good to have a connection with?
There are a couple things I don't really touch, such as floors.
Okay.
And I don't do a lot with floors unless it's tile. I'll do a tile floor, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a contractor I work with closely for that, but I'm trying to integrate to where I'm still the general contractor when he comes in.
Yeah.
And does that.
Mm-hmm.
Thus far, it's just been kind of a partnership where he'll send me referrals, I send him referrals.
Mm-hmm.
But on this next one I've done a bid for, I included him as if I were the general contractor.
There you go. Okay. So I think another way that we encounter this a lot, guys, if we think about, again, it's just a convenient example, but we think about LSA, if we get a call for a lead that's for a job that we don't really want, or not quite what we really do, is there someone we can hand that off to? It's a similar structure, right? That we could hand it off to, give it to them, but still monetize or again, get the customer relationship so that when they do need something at some point, we've got a lot better, obviously, chance of winning that job if we're the connection maker to getting that other thing done, right? Yep. So that would be another example I would think of. Or things that the people tend to need after. Maybe it's a cleaning crew, maybe it's a cleaning company, right? Or someone who's going to come in and clean the house or do carpet cleaning or whatever. I don't think anybody here does carpet cleaning, right? So is there something of that sort that we could have good relationships with, to hand our finished product or finished customers with, to send them down, because we know that can also create some inbound as well, right? Okay. Any others? Don, I appreciate the great examples. Anybody else have some that are more downstream or handoff style referrals that we could look at?
So I always am the GC with all of my subs, even if it's something that comes after. And like I don't know your name, Wally.
Oh, Don. Yeah, that's
Don.
Yeah,
like Don was saying, I have a lot of subs that we, we'll throw each other referrals back and forth. But we have a good relationship, so I'll be like, hey, mark your bid up 10% for me, and he says the same to me sometimes. So
okay,
sometimes it comes without any strings, but usually it does.
Yeah, right. No, I think that's part of what we're gonna move into in just a second, because I think we want to get clear on what the offer strategy is to really help it grow. Because I think a default is we'd like it not have strings, but we also know that if there's not something that's strategic or explicit, then we get a certain level of performance. But I think if we are willing to really get aggressive with it, we can start to boost the performance, even if and when, right, it's something that gets both parties' attention, which I think is a good thing in a lot of ways, right? So Eric, I think it's a great example when we think of just subs and other just general overall projects. But I think there might even be some areas where it might be worth, again, having as part of this overall strategy things that would be, again, maybe lesser tier related, like, again, carpet cleaning, window cleaning, landscaping, stuff that you're probably not going to run as a GC, but the homeowner still in some way or fashion could benefit from or might need after working with you. Does that make sense?
So I do the same thing with some of my vendors.
Okay.
When I send clients to go pick out finishes.
Yeah.
My vendor knows to put a 10% markup for me on the material that they buy.
Nice. Okay. I don't know if anybody else is doing that. That's a good thought. Okay, cool. Any others before we move on a little bit further? Anybody else? Any other thoughts that this is, as we're noodling on this, that this is kind of brought to mind, or something that you're doing that we haven't talked about yet? When we're thinking creatively about who else we can include in this broader referral network strategy. about you, Bryce? I know you're thinking hard. I can see it. Wheels turning, man. What's this brought for you?
I think we've covered pretty much everything I've got. So.
Okay. Do we get, hopefully we brought some new insights or new ones that we can add to your list, right? And so as we go a little bit deeper on this thing, guys, next step to put it to make it real life. Okay. We want to, you can start to, well, we'll skip the part where we think about, again, revenue share or different ways where this really could become, it's worth running the math on it, I think. But what we want to look at a little bit next is let's get into, okay, we've got our map, we mapped out our event chain. We took a couple minutes, mapped out who that is. But now we want to get and some of those specific targets that are above or below. I think everybody feels like we've got a pretty good list then on who we could or should be building that out, right? So if your list should start with the professions or the industries. But what I want to have you now look at the list you wrote down earlier is, do you have specific names next to those for each one of them? At least one or two, if not more. So that's the next. Yeah, let's get some individuals written down. And as you look through the list of those different professions, where are the gaps? Where are the ones where you don't already have, oh, that's Jim, or I already call, Susan, whoever it is, right? I want you to look at that list of those different professions we talked about as we were going broad and kind of brainstorming, thinking who are all the places I could and should be getting referrals from or sending to, and which ones don't have a name right off the top of your mind next to have a relationship to have that conversation. Okay. So let's give we'll get another 2 minutes. I'm assuming there's at least some hope. And if there's not anybody, then maybe we didn't go broad enough in that first part of the first part. So we'll do another 2 minutes on that. Let's go. And which ones don't we already have names for? And then as you hopefully come up with a good 5 to 10 of those, and then we can start to rank order. Which ones and in which order? Because when we think about strategy is just a fancy word for prioritizing decisions. That's all it is. So we think of once you get your 5, 10, however many that don't already have a very clear name associated with that profession. Let's rank order them. Ones that we think are going to be highest value to lowest value. Here it is, dear. Rocky Ooze, man, that's too good. Been a while since I watched these. I will say, I'll confess, I got pulled into the Cobra Kai trap. I don't know if anybody else watched that, but my nostalgia. My nostalgia hit me, and I had to go for it. So yeah, I appreciated it. It was fun. Cobra Kai was good, especially because I think that they didn't take themselves too seriously. They kind of knew that what they were doing was kind of just a little bit of a, you try and make a kid's karate tournament like the end of the world. They kind of leaned into that a little bit. So, but it was still fun to relive some of those moments, those journeys. It's good stuff. All right, guys, that's 2 minutes. How did we do? So let's I want to just hear a couple of thoughts, a couple of the takeaways from the last couple of minutes. What were maybe your top 2 to 3 gaps where this could be a good source for me, but I don't have a specific name of someone in that space in my current network that's producing referrals for me right now? What'd you guys come up with?
For me, it's roofers, and roofers
Yeah.
And the window guy. Like I don't have a go-to roofer.
Okay.
Or window guy. And for us, roofers here are like they have expiration dates. I had a real good guy.
Yeah.
Who ended up passing away in a car accident, but other than him, he was like the most reliable roofer that was not on drugs.
Okay.
But everybody else,
shoot,
it's just like
our roofer in the room is really loving that.
who does roofing?
That's Eric.
Oh,
that's
so my hat's off to roofers. I did roofing for 2 days, and I'm a man's man, and I quit.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, not your.
Well, I say 2 days. One day, the second day was kind of like cleanup, and
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. So you got at least you got some key targets. Then it sounds like you don't have a roofing and window cleaning kind of what, or window installers. I think is what I heard. Is like okay, those would be some good targets. Okay, how about you, Bryce? Who did you come up with the highest priority gaps in terms of here's the industry? I don't have a specific name for that could get me referrals.
I need a tile guy.
Okay.
The first thing that comes to mind. So
nice.
I actually have my eye on somebody, but
very good.
Good tile guys are extremely hard to find.
Yeah. Awesome. Love that. Anybody else or just the one?
I need a designer.
Okay.
I have one that they were a team of 2 gals, and they did my house in St. George, and one of them lives in St. George and the other one lives up here. So
okay.
I think she was about to retire.
Okay. Awesome. And so it's interesting because I think, and Darren, apologies, man. It's just one of those. I'm going to find a way to be able to help serve you at the same level when for my folks that aren't in my state, but just because we happen to live in the same state. Eric, I've got some people for you for that. If so, I'll be able to say. Do you know Stacy Graves with Design House or Edit Design House? I think
I've heard the name. But
okay. Yeah. We can make a connection there. And Bryce, I've got the name is escaping, but I do have someone in tile that I can connect you with as well. So just as a start, I mean, we'll talk about in a second some other ways, but just if I have some people that I know that are in the state, that I'm happy to make some connections for you there. So that's cool. Okay, but how about
I have a great tile guy, Bryce, but I don't I don't want to give him away.
It's too good. All right, fine.
Unless I'm the GC, then I would sub him out.
Sure, there you have it. It's nice. Share the love. It's true. But if there happen to be something that you don't want that's up in Roy, then if you know somebody up that way, that'd be good, right? Eric, any others? So design, any others that came up for you as key gaps?
No, I have quite a few names by everything I wrote down.
Everything else? Okay. So designer would be good. How about you, Don? Which were the top ones that don't have current names next to them?
Realtors.
Okay.
Other contractors.
Okay.
I've typically seen other contractors as the competition because I do cover such a wide variety of things.
Okay.
So I haven't thought to work real close with them. It probably wouldn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, realtors, designers, insurance and home warranty, really.
There you go. Okay.
Manufacturing suppliers, I haven't really, I don't know. I saw that one. It's interesting that Eric mentioned manufacturers and suppliers only because I've thought about approaching them, but I never have for the reason that I know they're supplying for more than just me.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were to try and promote or send me business, how would that look on them for the other people they supply for?
They don't care. Like my rep for Johns Manville called while we've been in this meeting just to check on me and see how I'm doing. He sends me leads all the time. They don't care because we're just buying their materials.
And they want you to keep coming back to them, right?
Yeah, they want all of us to keep buying their materials. So he's probably talking with 20 other people too, but.
Gotcha.
There you go. Love it. worth doing some research and getting a name for each one of these.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Guys, that's good. I mean, I think we've got some good opportunities there. I think this is something we're not well. So what do we do? And obviously, we've talked about the overall theory and the concept. But let's put pen to paper. Let's have rubber meet the road, right? So how do we go and what are, if you think about the places we're going to go put some names or find the names, how were you guys thinking about getting those names? What's the plan to go and find some people that we can connect and get some specifics, names or people? Where are you going to go? Dear, how are you going to find a roofer and a window guy?
It's funny. I was just looking up. A roofer reached out to me, and it just reminded me. I was just trying to find the email about the roofer. And he reached out to me for that very purpose. He wanted to refer business to me, and I just never got around to getting back to it. So for that, as far as a window guy, I'll just ask my network.
Yeah.
Who do you use for Windows and see if I get any hits on Windows. But I was looking for that email.
Yeah.
Because they're right around the corner. So he probably figured, hey, he's a local company.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm kicking myself. It's been on the back of my mind.
Yeah.
To find that email and reach out.
Okay.
But now I have a reason to now.
There it is. So I love something that you said, because that's going to be the biggest part about where we're going to head to finish this whole thing up, is that you've been thinking about it, but just haven't really kind of got around to it. And hasn't been it's kind of just been in the background, and we'll talk about exactly why and what to do about it next.
I found it. Here we go.
There we go. Awesome. So Darren's you've got a plan. So your plan to be able to kind of fill your gaps, go to your network, you got some email contacts you can go back and find. How about you guys, for the rest of you that have gaps? I mean, what are some of your plans to go and get some names to those lists, rather than just have them exist as empty spaces? Where are you going to go?
I've already got a name.
Okay.
Actually, just a guy that I follow on Facebook.
Okay.
There's that. I have in the past too gone to my suppliers, and I found a concrete guy that I've used before from going to one of the local concrete suppliers and asking who they suggest.
Okay. Got it. So good. Anybody else? Any other places you're going to go to find some specific names to put in those gaps? How about you, Don?
I'm going to go look for some realtors.
Okay.
In the area. I know there's a couple of big realtors in the area. So I'm going to go talk to them.
Good.
I'm going to Google for designers in the area. I don't think I'm going to find much, but I'm going to try.
Yeah. Find out.
Insurance. I was thinking of doing like a top 10 insurance survey on Facebook.
Okay.
To where we find out what the top 10 insurance providers are here in San Pete.
Yeah.
And then
love that.
Reach out to those companies.
So good.
Yeah.
I love it. How about you, Eric? Any other, apart from, I can get you Stacy, but where else are you going to try and find some names to put in those empty spaces?
Oh, maybe some other real estate brokers.
Yeah.
I have two. But I mean, there's 1,000 of them. So.
Yeah. There's no shortage, right?
Yeah.
So, guys, I love it. So I think as part of the overall mix, okay, it's, one of the easiest ones. Let's just go Google it. Do fill in the blank industry, just like a customer would, right? Fill in the blank industry in this town or near me or whatever that is. See who comes up. If you don't already have a name, go there. Another hotbed for this. You think about some of the different Facebook groups and Facebook pages that we're a part of and that you're in. I guarantee you drop a post in there saying, hey, I'm looking to connect with this kind of thing so we can help each other out. You'll get 1 million comments.
Yeah.
Okay. You just will. And then you can really start to pick and choose and find out who you'll start to tell pretty quickly who's serious about it versus who just wants to sit and collect a check. But you really can find some great people as another, again, easy way to build that out and start to vet who you're at. The other challenge or issue to you is, look, so we first start with, well, what are the different industries or potential partners that I don't have a current go-to person right now? Let's fill those in. But then for the other ones that are still top potential, but you have a name, let's think critically and honestly about, okay, well, how productive is it really? Is my go-to person right now, how often are they sending me stuff? And do we feel like that could go to another level, either by revisiting that and refreshing that conversation, or by, is there somebody better? Is there someone who really is got the drive, the ambition to go get her, that kind of thing, who's doing more volume, whatever else? Is it worth kind of revisiting that that relationship? Maybe we don't have to, just because we're dating them doesn't mean we have to be wedded to them, right? So we can think about some of those relationships that may be worth redefining or reestablishing, or again, just the business on us to define that, right? So, but so to land this plane, and Darren, I'm glad I want to pick up a little bit about something you mentioned, because I think we do have some of those relationships that can become dormant or stable, or I guess maybe not quite as, doesn't have as many spikes as we'd like them to. And so what I would suggest, what I'll tell you is, and be curious to get your thoughts on this as well, but what I've seen over the years is that has so much to do with one specific thing, and it's the offer. It's how we define the terms under which we're going to send each other business and referrals. So if you're going to create a new relationship, again, we're trying to first fill those gaps. As you go to them, have a default plan beyond just the, hey, we should do something together. Let's get clear as to what's a specific offer that you can go to them with as to how that would work financially or strategically in a way that makes it so you've got a really good defined plan versus just hey, we should get lunch and we should help each other out. Because that's what 90% of people do that, and it just hangs out. It doesn't really do much. But just like with anything, the extra little bit of preparation, a little bit of focus is going to make all the difference in the world as to how productive those different referral sources and joint venture partnerships are. Okay. So, and then as you're going to have those discussions, either revisiting the ones you already have or establishing a new one, think critically as part of your preparation, know their sales process. Okay. At what point, as they, in how they are working with the customer that you want to share, at what point would it make sense to bring you up? Is it at the very end? Is it at the beginning on the planning stages? Where is that in their natural course of reaction or interaction with that homeowner or with that potential customer? Where would it make sense for you to fit in? Because I think if we think about the stages for that, that's also then going to inform, okay, well, how can we then make that super easy? Is it as easy as, hey, look, because of their meeting with them in person, they're doing Zoom calls, whatever that is, or they're doing a final walkthrough. They're on home. Like we think about the realtors, they're out driving around. I mean, wherever, what step in that relationship would it make sense to say, look, hey, why don't you, when you're doing this, hand them this one-page flyer, or give them this business card with a QR code on it, or give them this gift card, or this thing that makes it easy for them and natural, so they can just have this segue, simple conversation. It's not really disruptive, doesn't require a lot of heavy lifting to do something that's out of their normal routine as they're interacting with their customers. Because if we haven't framed that in a way that just lets that exchange happen organically, we have to almost retrain them to do something different. And that it's just going to reduce how frequently that comes up. Does that make sense so far? Right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think each one of these types of partnerships is going to have a little bit of a different flavor as to where that makes sense. And how we frame it. So then the last part is, again, make it worth it. So if it's something where it's just hey, I'll buy you lunch or I'll bring you donuts, done. I think I love that you're at least doing that, right? You're at least doing something to kind of make experience, and that's good. But we can juice it a little bit and make it a little bit more meaningful. So some examples that that I kind of brainstorm, but I want to give you a little bit of seeding for food for thought. Okay. So I think we typically think of these as a rev share style deal where, hang on, I'll just stop for a second, to where it's like, okay, look, if you send me a job, like Eric, to your point, hey, it's 10%, include a 10% deal. And that's good. Mm-hmm. And we tend to think of it as, well, here's a piece of the pie. I'll just give you a piece of the pie that I get, whatever I end up getting. But is there something are there certain relationships or conditions where we could, rather than give them a piece of the pie, could we just peel off a corner of what we do and let them keep the whole thing? Let me give you an example. So if we were thinking about, is there an entry-level service? Now, Darren, I'm going to pick on you for a second, right? So if you were to think about you said roofer as an example, okay? Mm-hmm. So you have a relationship with a roofer, and while they're doing the roofing project, you say, look, because you're working with me, why don't you just tell your homeowners after we finish your roofing project, I've got a good relationship with this guy, this HVAC guy, that he will install smart thermostats for $100. Now that may be below what you do, so just hang on with me for a second. But the idea is like, so whatever the normal rate is, so maybe the market rate for getting smart thermostats installed is, what would you say, Deer's at like 300, 400, somewhere in that range?
Yeah, probably around like 400 or 500.
Yeah, $400 or $500. Okay. So it's something that to that extent, but you say, look, the special, what's going to help make that roofer stand apart for him and his customers is, hey, look, I got this great hookup for you. He'll come out and do it for $200. The roofer sells it. He pockets the 200. Okay. But you show up, you don't make a dime, but what does that do? It gets you in the home. Now you have the relationship. You're there. You can assess. Now you have the chance to then we'll go through and look at, hey, by the way, while we're here, here's some other stuff it looks like that could probably be worth doing. You can assess how old's their water heater, how old's their furnace, how old's their AC, do they have IAQ stuff in the place? I mean, just it gives you a feel for now you've got the chance to really assess and create those other opportunities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do.
So there's some cost obviously for you to go out there. So here my challenge, or what I would issue to think about is, what if you did 10 of those? Right? What if you just did say, hey, you can do 10? And out of those 10, what percentage of those 10 would you have to convert into something bigger to make it pay for everything else? Right? So if you go and do 10 free thermostat installs, would you just need one that turns into like a full system change out to pay for the 10 installs you did?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All it takes is one.
That's all it takes. Right. And so that's what I'm saying is that, guys, think about, just again, be prudent about it, but just some quick back of the envelope math. You can start to see, well, even if I do something that's valuable for free, but how much more incentivized would that roofer be to be able to say, look, I can just tell my customer, have this guy come out and do this thing for you. And it's well below market, but he gets to pocket the $200 or whatever the number is. That's an easy conversation, right? He gets us to make some quick spending money, some quick goose money. He doesn't have to do a thing for other than just give him a phone number out, right? So you can kind of see what that, again, just a quick example. As you think about guys, so Bryce, Don, Eric, I mean, is there something you could peel off and give to your joint venture partner so they can sell it and pocket the money that you come out and do? Is that anything come to mind for you guys? I'm curious. What's your version of something like that?
Well, we could do an inspection or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Inspection.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to push a little bit on that, because that's something that feels like it's definitely true. It's also something that I think that the market seems to kind of understand that as something that is pretty standard. So is there a version of that would be a little bit more differentiated, I guess, than an inspection? I thought of, and tell me how this lands for you, just to get the juices flowing, right? I was jotting down thinking, would it be a gutter cleaning? And whether you do it or if you've got somebody that does it, but somebody else to say, look, I got this guy, he'll just come out and clean your gutters. And whatever that rate is, I don't know, I guess I'm trying to think what gutter cleaning goes for. Let's just say it's, is it a couple $100 to have all your gutters cleaned out?
Yeah.
Right. So your joint venture partner can sell it for $100. They keep the money, you go out and do it, but then now you're there. And now you get a chance to say, well, by the way, these gutters, not only are they nasty, but because they're old and they're starting to creak, they're falling apart, probably could use a repair, but then you've got the relationship, you've got a way to be able to kind of win and do something bigger, something better.
Yeah.
Right. So guys, this is one of those things where I want us to think about what's something we get real aggressive with to test it out for just, again, 10 customers or some number that at least allows us to gauge, knowing that there's with enough at bats, just like we talked about earlier, we'll be able to know that there's a certain percentage of them we'll convert into something that more than offsets cost of that initial service that we gave away, or at least we know we can count on it coming in, because the joint venture partner is like, oh, sweet, I can just give something out that makes me look really good. I get to pocket the cash and right, I don't have to do a thing for it. I think you'll start to get a lot higher volume of calls from some of those partnerships that we think a little more critically or a little more out of the box from them, as an example. And like I said, let's hedge it. yeah, no, it's not suggesting you want to do free thermostats for everybody all the time, right? But let's give, or yeah, Eric, free gutter cleanings, but let's say all the time. But let's see if we do 10, let's find out. And let's do some math around, okay, what does my conversion rate need to be, and what's reasonable to then say, okay, cool, at this point, that's a win. And now, and if by doing that a little bit out of the box thinking, if that gets our volume to go from where it is to, if we get our volume of referrals inbound and new customers on our lists by 20-30% a month, yeah, that starts to add up, I would think. Is what I'm suggesting. How about you, Don? I know I can see you leaning. What's this coming to mind for you, man? Where's your thoughts going?
Just trying to follow along.
Yeah.
I think one of the, okay, for the average client, just showing appreciation is great.
Yeah.
But the other contractors and whatnot, maybe that's not enough. Maybe like you're saying, they need a little bit of a kickback or other incentives.
Yep.
So I'm thinking if I were dealing with a realtor, is like because that's my focus, like right off, like that's an easy one to go after, I think, because they're listed, right? Every realtor wants everybody to have their number, so it's easy to find. So I'm trying to think what would be a great kickback for them, while still giving their clients a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if 10%, that seems pretty high, because that cuts into a lot of profit.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So, I mean, for just handing out my card, I think 5% would be fine. You know, if you're talking 5% on a $10,000 bathroom remodel, that's you know, $500 for giving out my card. Right, it's not bad.
Exactly. And actually, I think, Don, you may even be able to come out a little bit more of a head where, if I'm thinking if I'm in realtor shoes, they may be less concerned about a percentage of the job, but if it's just a flat like $500, so you just know it's capped at that, or whatever the number is, right? I mean,
I'd even say $250.
Exactly. You know? $250. That's good money for a realtor, just for something that's real simple.
Right.
You know what I mean? I love that. And I love that you brought the realtor example, because that's one of the ones that I think I wanted to kind of make sure we kind of finish with, or at least make sure we fit in, let me say it that way. Cause I mean, I want to hear more ideas if you guys are coming up with them. But the other one I thought is like having the realtor relationships where it is I kind of call it like the realtor speedy sale package, right? Or the make it your home package. I think you guys, when you have something like financing available, okay, someone who's trying to sell their house fast, but what do the realtors want? They want to sell as fast as possible, right? That's where they get paid, right? And so if you're able to have the relationship such that, look, you'll come in and you'll help them remodel whatever it is, and you'll be able to go in and assess what are the biggest needle movers that's going to help them sell their home for maximum value and get those projects done, and you're able to finance it for them, so they don't have, the homeowners even have to pay for it for 18 months, 24 months out with your financing partnership, like Hearth, Bryce, or Eric. Or there's so many realtors where they pay for it out of the proceeds of the closing. Okay. But you work out with the realtor so that they help, again, they will help put some kind of like initial down payment, but they know they're going to get paid so much more once this is going to help them sell for more, and they're going to sell it faster because you came in and did that improvement. And the homeowner doesn't have to do it. So it's just this, hey, look, it gives the realtor something to be able to go to the homeowner with, right? Hey, we partnered with Do It Right. We partnered with Quality Service. We partnered with Mon Construction. You know, we made this partnership so that we can get these things done to help you sell it for more, sell it faster, and you don't have to pay for it until the house closes. Up to 90 days or up to 60 days, some, you know, finite period of time, right? So you feel like you got some protection, but at least it gives them like, wow, that's awesome. Let's go get this done. Let's go get everything painted. Let's go get the kitchen, whatever, you know, those kinds of things. Because I think the data is pretty strong. I mean, think about what a house will go for before and after. I know kitchens and bathrooms, we know are the big winners, right? I mean, everybody knows that's your biggest bang for your buck. But there may be some other things that maybe it's just repairs that didn't get done, or well, there's other things that are detriments to someone to be able to sell the house. So that's on the front end of it. And then obviously on the back end, hey, if a realtor has someone who they're the buying agent, awesome. Once you close, then I've got someone who can come in, make it yours, and they've got a great financing program. So you don't have to, you can make it your own. You have to pay for it for 21 months or whatever the case may be. Just making that really easy for them to get excited about. And also same thing, right? The realtors want their buyers to make a decision faster, right? So they're not doing showings all the time. And so they're going to look at these fixer-uppers a lot differently if they know that they've got a great person who's available, you can do it quick, and they got financing, they all this flexibility, or they're going to do whatever XYZ, they'll give you a free kitchen sink, whatever the thing is, right? Just to make it so you've got a strategic, like high value, high perceived value thing that income's included, right? In the thing of working with you. I guess I'm just trying to get you guys like thinking creatively about what does that look like with that realtor so that you're the obvious like go-to and helps them get what they want, right? It helps them either sell it faster or it helps them get their buyer to decide faster because they look at the fixer-uppers differently, as an example.
Yeah.
Love that. What about you, Bryce? Where's your gears turning, man? I know you've got some creativity. What's coming to mind for you from this?
Not much. I think we've covered pretty much everything that
okay.
Into. So
okay. All right.
Dude, so
yes.
Just now I'm thinking,
yeah.
Let's say you've got a realtor that, because when somebody's buying a home, you don't know what they want all the time, right?
Right.
Obviously something like sagging drywall because it got wet from a leaky roof. The roof's been replaced, but the drywall needs fixed. That's a pretty much no brainer that it needs to be fixed, right?
100%. Yep.
But you don't know if the client that's buying it, you don't have the client yet, so you don't know what kind of kitchen they're going to want. If it's 1950s cabinets that's got to go.
yeah.
But if you have that partnership, you could go in and put a flyer, tape it to the cabinets and say, when you're ready, you call this number, and you have your referrals and maybe your Google and some your Facebook, your referrals, so they can see all the pictures of what you've done before.
Awesome. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Just a thought.
You're the go-to.
Yeah.
No, and I like Don. I like where you're headed with that, because where I think there's another version of that to me that it's, I always think about it as like the wish list. Okay. I mean, when you think about any homeowners that you're doing projects for right now, you're doing one project, but there's a good chance, especially in the older homes, that this is just the beginning. They just did the bathroom, but eventually they want to do this and this and this. So as someone's on a new home purchase, how do we make this your dream home? Well, we'll come in. You guys can come in and just do a walkthrough with them. Okay. So we're going to do a walkthrough and tell you like, hey, for this thing, here's about what you can expect. For this, it's about this much. For this, it's about this much. And whether you do it now or later, at least now they've got an idea so that dream becomes a reality faster, or at least they know they've got the information to make it happen sooner than if they don't. Right. So that's maybe a make it your dream home walkthrough. We just brand it something like that to where they at least like, well, cool, my realtor's helping me get this. I just think that's another, again, it's a differentiated thing for the realtor to give and for you to be able to help get a plan for a homeowner who can get excited about, this turning this home into what they want, if that makes sense. So I love it, dude. Dion, I love the idea of having the thing you can just tape to the 1950s cabinets. That's pretty cool, right? That's something that they can put their
something we see all the time out here.
Right. It's tangible, right?
All the time.
So good. Well, guys, I know we're a little bit over, but hope it's been helpful. I'm really interested in finding out what was either most helpful from today, or maybe what's been most useful. Give me some feedback on what's been most useful, and more importantly, what's maybe the one or two things that you're going to go put into place from today's discussion that maybe you haven't been thinking about or doing as much lately. So give me a little bit of that, and we'll wrap it up. What do you think, Eric? How about for you?
Just some new ideas. Just sitting down with a pen and a pad and writing some stuff down.
There you have it. Makes it happen.
Gets the wheels turning.
Good. Well, I want to hear you execute. Let me know as you go put it in place what happens. What's the first thing you feel like you're going to take action on?
Oh, I think one of my salesmen has been talking with me about insurance companies.
Okay.
And getting on their lists, they have preferred vendors for windstorms and stuff like that for roofers. So
yeah,
I think that would be a good one to, even either give them a handful of business cards or some flyers or something.
Right. Okay.
Just develop a relationship with somebody.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Very good. Awesome. Okay. Well, I want to hear about how that goes. Right. As you reach out to those guys. How about you, Bryce? What's been most helpful, and what's maybe the top 1 or 2 things you're going to go put into place this week?
I think I just need to reach out to some of my suppliers because I've got several, and maybe get the wheels turning there. So
good. Okay. Let me know when it happens. I want to know that you got it done and how that conversation goes. So that's great. That's a good new white space to explore. How about you, Don? What's been most helpful? What are you going to go do this week?
In my oodles of spare time, I'm going to go find some realtors.
There it is. I know you like watching grass grow. So trade some of that for reaching out to realtors, and then we'll see how that goes. Okay. That's good.
If grass would grow this time of year.
Yeah, that's true. Take a little bit, even slower, or you can spray paint it. Yeah, if you want to go green. So one of the two. Awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate you. I'm excited to hear how it goes. Drop us, keep us informed. We'll look forward to hearing about it next week. Let's see what happens. And I just feel like, again, this is one of those untapped sources that kind of happens in the background, almost subconsciously. But if we put a little more focus on it, it just feels like there's some quick wins to be had. So let's go get it, and we'll see you next week.
sounds good. Thanks.
All right, guys. You're awesome.
See ya.